Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to The Real Road Warrior. This is where I travel to go see a movie or travel to work with someone. Today I'm working with Rob from Smirking Gun Reviews. Rob, tell them where they can find you on YouTube.
You can find me on Smirking Gun Reviews, also on Twitter at YESSHH8, that's Yeesh8. You can follow me there, and on YouTube I answer pretty much all comments, so don't be afraid to share what you guys feel about this movie as well as on his channel as well.
All right, so I came to work with you all day and we went to go see Good Boys. And what this movie is about, it's about 3 6th graders, and they've all got their own little things going on, but the main story is they're trying to get to this party and the misadventures that happen on the way. Whenever this movie, you saw the trailer for it before, what were your initial thoughts? Like, what did you think you were going to walk into when you saw this movie?
Well, I mean, everybody's calling it super bad for, middle school kids. And it's pretty much that. And listening to other, like Brad talk about it, how it reminded him of South Park. There's a little bit of that in there. But mostly, I that's what I thought I was getting. But I didn't quite get that. I got something else out of it. I actually really thought it was a pretty sweet movie.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I was definitely getting the super bad vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie did get a little ridiculous here and there.
Yeah.
Where super bad, I wouldn't say it was grounded in reality, but it was a little more so than this one. I mean, you got a kid breaking his arm and having to pop it back in, but they did along with like Superbad, where they talked about them growing apart and all that stuff, and then having to grow up a little bit, and they're moving on and beginning to get into new things. And so I got pretty much what I expected out of this movie. I was expecting a lot of silliness, and there was. I had a lot of good laughs. I may not have been busting out laughing out loud, but I was digging the jokes. The one type of joke I really wasn't, that was kind of getting old to me, is when they would mix up a word for another. I thought they went to that well a little too much.
Yeah.
But there was, and then really, it didn't bother me, didn't ruin the movie, but I mean, and I think Brad may have mentioned this when we were talking about it yesterday. He said a lot of the problems could have been solved by just giving them the drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't have a movie.
Yeah. Because it was kind of like, why is this kind of happening when realistically that they would have just done that? So it was like shenanigans a little bit. But I really like what the messing up the words thing was a little too much, because sometimes it just, if they're using words that they don't understand, but they're also not, I didn't feel like they were dumb enough to be messing up words like piranha.
Yeah.
Instead of, like
Pariah.
things like that. And if you're supposed to believe that they know some things like that, then you know that they would understand other things. It worked at first, but it should have just been like a 1 or 2 and done.
Yeah, and they used it a lot.
But I liked this way more than I thought I would. But not in the way of like, oh my God, like laugh out loud funny. When I say sweet, I don't mean like Eric Cartman, like sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was sweet,
considering a sweet message to
that these kids are good boys. They're so conflicted throughout this whole movie of everything that they want to do, but how they want to do, like what they're willing to do it. And they're straight-laced and they're innocent. And do I believe that they don't know what some of these things are? Like not knowing how to pronounce anal beads.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's anal and things like that.
Yeah.
No, I think that they know, those kids would know like what certain things are, especially like dildos. I mean, I don't want to, they know what their own bodies look like, even if they're smaller versions of that.
Yeah.
I think that they'd know. But it's their reactions to things, their earnestness to it, the way that they still sound like little girls so much of the time.
Every time the one kid screamed.
Yeah, I mean, it made me remember what it was like to be that age, and I don't think that's what people are talking about, because I didn't understand all of it. I never played Spin the Bottle. I come from this very strict religious background, so there were things in there that I couldn't associate with as much because but it's in all movies, from like Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles and things like that I grew up with. But just being that age and how huge the world seemed, like they're just trying to get to the mall, and I remember where I lived, we lived really close to a mall, but it might as well have been on the other side of the planet because there was like a highway between things, like interconnected highways down in like Waukegan, Illinois. If you know like Highway 41 and all those places, like it's really busy, but it really shouldn't have stopped me. But it felt like there's no way we can do that. It didn't take it. It wasn't until I got older and like high school age that I wasn't bothered by these things. But when you're like 12, 13, 14 years old, trying to get somewhere is the hardest part because you want to be on your own. You don't want to have to ask your parents for things. You want to be with your boys. You want to be with your friends. You want to be able to not be around your parents so you can do and say all the things that you're not supposed to do around your parents. And I got a lot out of that from this movie. And it really hit me in that level where I wasn't laughing, but I was taking it all in and just going, this is really cute. It really takes me back to that place in my life.
Well, as silly and raunchy as it got, yeah, deep down it had a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
Because you had, again, all three of these kids have their things going on. Jacob Tremblay's character, he wants to be with this girl, which, by the way, that was an odd thing for me because the little girl that he wanted is on one of my kids shows that they watch, so it was weird seeing her in a movie like this, but anyway, that was just weird for me. Talking
about it in ways that I remember, though, like you would say and talk about girls and things that you thought the language you were supposed to use about girls and what you would do and all this stuff, and I'm like going, oh my god, that is so accurate to like you think you're being hardcore, but you don't know what you're talking about. You really, if you get close to a girl, you're just like, ooh. So I thought that was hilarious because it's just, you make everything is like the end of the world or the biggest deal in the entire world when you don't. It's like, I found it fascinating that the montage near the end was like, you thought a lot of time had gone by.
Yeah.
It's like a month, not even
a month.
They're
saying it's been I've missed you these weeks or whatever.
But like, and I remember being in terms of when you were that age, everything was such a big deal. And time was your enemy. Like, really, you're like, any time just felt forever when you got to, but it was really like that when I look at it.
Well, I gotta talk a little spoilers here,
sure,
because I mean I was
wondering if we were going to.
Yeah, I mean people pretty much know what kind of movie they're getting with this, so I don't mind so much. Whenever we get to the end, we have the spin the bottle party, and the basic thing is the kids are kind of growing apart.
Yeah,
and Jacob Tremblay's character finally gets to kiss the girl he wants, not because he got lucky on the spin the bottle game. His friend actually got picked by the bottle for that girl, and he did a solid for his friend and couldn't do it. And Jacob Tremblay's character just goes up and he's like, go up, just go kiss her.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the bottle. And he does, and you think, oh, he's finally accomplished what he wanted. It's so much, so much the world he wants.
Yeah.
And then you find out, like, right after that, he's crying.
Yeah.
And then that girl's friend comforts him, and then they're a couple, and then they break up, and then the two girls are holding hands. Yeah. And I'm just like, this whole world that he wanted to succeed in, everything he wanted in the world, it's like, oh yeah, he's a kid, and that stuff don't mean anything. Yeah. So I loved that because it was just, oh yeah, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Things happening to kids.
It moves so fast. They jump from one thing to the next so quickly that, when you're watching a movie, you feel like more time is going by than it is. And really, this is just a few hours of his life, and their emotions change. So, and especially at that age, your emotions just jump from one thing to the next. But when you're feeling it, it is the most important feeling in the entire world, and nobody better get in your way with it. But I mean, it was one of those. So when he was making a big deal about it, I was like, yeah, by the end of this movie that won't matter.
Yeah.
Like, he'll have moved on, or he'll find somebody else, or he'll find something more important in his life. And I like that they did grow apart, but still stayed like they were acting like old people, like us, where we don't have the time to see each other as often as we like to see friends and stuff. And it's legit hard, but they're making it more hard on themselves than it really needs to be. They're making it more dramatic. I don't remember, like, you know, drifting apart from anybody when I was that age. I didn't drift apart from anybody until, like, later in, like, high school, where you'd find your group.
Yeah, well,
sometimes
see,
your group wasn't the same as what it was.
And that's what those two girls were talking about, the ones that they basically steal the Molly from.
Yeah.
They were saying, well, we didn't know each other as kids. We didn't find each other until later in life. And they're saying you're gonna grow apart. It's funny, the girls that just want to get high are given the life lessons here to these sixth graders.
Yeah.
And you know, the other kids, they're both of them are dealing with who they really are.
Yeah.
The one of the kids he wants to be a singer, he wants to perform, but he quits doing it because he's getting made fun of. He's drinking beer because he thinks it'll make him cool.
Yeah.
And it's just, you start to realize that with these kids, like, and the other kids, his parents are getting divorced.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're singing Walking on Sunshine in the next scene, and of course he's bawling his eyes out. And so deep down, it's a raunchy comedy, but like a Superbad, there's more to the story there. It's just not, well, we're just going to do all these sex jokes and kids cussing, and that stuff's in there, don't get me wrong.
It's what you use as your armor.
Yeah.
Is acting tough and saying these things that are grown up and adult, and you're trying to prove to yourself and your friends that you can handle all these things when you can't. You're so fragile. And I like that they, you know, a lot of times in real life, this probably doesn't play out that way. So, but in a movie, they can show them, like, still, you know, tell each other the things that they want to tell each other. I also really liked the girls in this movie.
Yeah.
I thought that they were good villains.
Yeah.
For a couple, like 3, 12-year-old kids, the villains would be something unexpected. Not just bullies happen, you know. They were wanting their drugs. They took their drugs. They, you know, and it would have been less funny if it was just a couple of guys.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like, oh, you're stupid kids and everything. And, like, these girls are like, no, like, you're stupid kids. Like, it just, you don't see the gender roles swapped like that in movies.
Well, you kind of got a taste of what a guy villain would be whenever they showed the college scene. The guy that was selling the drugs that broke up, or that the girl broke up with, and then when the
way he ran, that run from her with the arms back and everything.
It was very Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, and I was just like, like, this guy's acting like he's pretending to be the nice guy. He's really a jerk.
Yeah.
And then he runs away, and you see that's the real him.
Well, yeah, because when he says to her, he's trying to get alone time with her, and she's wanting to spend time with her friend.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you're not pretty enough to act like this.
And it's like, wow.
It's like, oh, that's who he is. Yep. Okay.
Like, I mean, I thought that scene where they went to the frat was hilarious.
Yeah. And that was... I was glad the whole movie wasn't that.
Yes.
But the movie needed a moment like that.
I needed something to just go completely bonkers.
And part of it's in the trailer.
Oh, see, I only watched one trailer, and it was a while ago. But in that scene, the one part that really made me go, oh, fuck, was the guy who comes around the corner and goes, she just dropped the charges, and gets hit in the face. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, see, the real world implications of that, first of all, are bad.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, and then he kind of gets his.
Yeah.
Because he eats a paintball.
Yeah.
But
I mean, these kids are in there's a real adult stuff happening around them, and they're just kind of oblivious to it all.
Yeah.
And Brad was right. The really funny scene was the cop who just wants to go home.
Yeah, that's so good.
And you think he's gonna be calling it in, and then he's just like, I don't want kids.
See, and I love that because it was he's like the one kid is very honest, and so he keeps revealing things to the cop.
Yeah.
And the cop's just like, okay, you skip school. Fine. Just go home, don't do it again, I'm gonna let you go. And then the kid's like, we got drugs. And so that happens, and then the other kid tries to steal beer, and the cop just rolls his eyes. And it's like, can this day get any worse? And then it does when they lock him in the store with the dildo.
Yeah. It's just I mean, I kind of wanted them to do a callback from that, because I liked, even though he's just in one scene, and he was on Veep. that actor, and he was really funny on that. I wanted some sort of like kind
Just
of
him to show up
him
again
to
one
show
more
up
time.
like, oh God, it's you, you know, like maybe not like, oh, it's you, ha ha ha, but maybe just actually some consequences of
Yeah.
like, hey, guess what? Remember I was gonna let you go, but then you locked me into a store with a dildo.
See, I really thought he was going to show up at the frat house,
Mm,
and that would have been a nice payoff
mm,
for the frat guys.
yeah.
Getting theirs at the end of a bad day to this cop.
Yeah.
You know, the cop's just like, nope, get, handcuffs, go.
Yeah.
We're going.
Finding out that that's where the people were getting Molly from,
Yeah.
you know, like have the whole place shut down because they looked like they needed to be shut down.
Yeah.
Like there's some places around here in this town that the campuses have been in trouble a lot
Yeah.
for stuff like that around here. So,
So final verdict: would you tell people to go to theaters to see it, or would you tell them to rent it? Because obviously you liked it. So
I liked it. I didn't love it. Like the humor landed less for me than the heart.
okay,
So if you
I can definitely see that.
So if you because in that theater, I want to talk about that real quick. There were a lot of kids.
That was weird.
I went in there, we sat down, and immediately I went, are we in the wrong theater? Because there were a lot of kids. And I expected at 3 o'clock on a Saturday to have a pretty much empty theater with maybe a few scattered adults and maybe one creepo sitting around there.
Well, heck, when we reserved tickets, we
Yeah.
were 2 and 3.
Yeah, we were the second and third tickets sold. And I don't even think anybody was sitting in that seat.
Yeah.
That I looked over there because it's just in my brain of remembering that ticket. So when I went out and they said no, a lot of parents are in there, but then the laughter at stuff that just wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of just ridiculous laughter at everything. Like they showed them at the playground and they were just uproarious laughing. Like what's so funny that because it's at a playground that this is funny? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're just it was a weird audience to watch this movie with. Not like the Bye Bye Man stories that you hear, that are famous, but like. Just bizarre, and so it kind of took me out of it a little bit, and it maybe made the humor that I might have laughed at like less. But if you want to see a movie that is like this, but you like heart, and you like that you're worried that maybe these kids aren't really that good, and they're gonna be like the South Park kids. I recommend it on that level. If you think it's gonna be the funniest movie of the year, but if you love raunchy movies, then you'll like it. But if you like heart and your raunchiness, it's got it in spades. And these kids are all really good actors. In fact, everybody in this was really good for the most part. I actually kind of wish there was a little more Will Forte in it.
Yeah.
Because he was so subdued in this instead of being over the top.
Yeah, he didn't get to be in a lot of it. I do love that first scene with him,
Yeah.
though, where Jacob Tremblay is, it looks like he's using a World of Warcraft type game to create a woman for him to, and so he ties up the door, but the door goes in, and his dad walks in on him. It's like, oh, I know what you're doing. I'm so proud of you, son.
Yeah, and you could say that it echoes Eugene Levy and Jason Biggs in American Pie, but I thought it was like less invasive.
Yeah.
Than that. I thought it was like still kind of sweet about it instead of just we're gonna shove the uncomfortability down your throat. They got out of that scene quicker than the American Pie movies. The American Pie movies let you linger on the uncomfortability of the raunchiness. But no, yeah, I recommend this movie if you can handle the raunch, but stay for the heart.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say run to the theater.
No, you don't have to run to the theater.
If it shows, when it shows up for rental, or if it's on Netflix, or something like that.
And if you got AMC Stubs list like we do, I mean, we didn't have to pay for the tickets.
Yeah, so I mean that's,
so it's like,
and it's definitely worth it for that. But do you need to rush to the theater to see it? No. But it's still a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
And don't let your kids watch it, because holy shit. Like, there was just so much. I was sitting next to a kid who looked like he was younger. He was younger than the kids in this movie. He was way younger, and he was into it. Like, he was moving around, and I was just going like, oh my God. I couldn't tell if it was his sister or his mom next to him. But, yeah, don't take your kids. I let my nephew watch stuff, but he's 16, and he can handle stuff. But don't take your little ones thinking that this is going to be like a funny kind of R. Not too bad. This was hard R in a lot of ways. I'm just surprised that we didn't have nudity. Thank goodness we didn't have nudity. And I was a little worried when Stephen Merchant showed up that we were gonna go kind of weird.
I thought they were gonna. He he has a scene involving a doll,
Mhm.
and I thought they were going to show more of
Yeah,
that.
I did not know where that was going, but I mean, I like Stephen Merchant, and I like it, but that had one of the funniest lines though, because it shows how oblivious the kids are. Is like
Yeah.
they're calling it a CPR doll. It's obviously a sex doll.
Yeah.
The whole time they're calling it a CPR doll, and then right as he leaves, he's like, I think he's gonna fuck that doll. And that actually got one of the biggest laughs because it was just the innocence of youth going, he still sees it as a CPR doll and somebody's gonna do the wrong thing with it, you know. And I
Yeah.
love that. That's where I mean heart, you know. So
Any final thoughts?
no, just definitely, it's definitely worth a look. Yeah, you don't have to rush out and see it. Definitely a rental, definitely a Netflix thing. But if you obviously can't wait and you got to go see it, then you won't be too disappointed. And it's fast. It's like it was like
it's
less
not
than an
very
hour and a
long.
half. It was like just like a straight hour and a half out the door. So
Well, guys, that's going to be it for this edition of The Real Road Warrior. Rob, why don't you tell them again where they can find you?
find me at Smirking Gun Reviews on YouTube. This is Rob Stone, by the way. I never actually say my name most of the time. But you can also find me on Twitter at Yesh8. That is YESSHH8.
And as always, I'm the real Geno Reynolds. See you later.
Bye.